She planned to dump me in front of her friends after I paid the $700 dinner bill. But I left a note instead. Hi, I'm Mason, 29, and last night I left a folded note on Jessica's plate while her friends argued over a $700 dinner bill they thought I'd cover. I knew something was off when I walked into the men's room and heard my own name. Two guys were talking like I wasn't real, like I was just a plot device in Jessica's next social prank. One of them laughed. Bro, he's actually paying for dinner tonight. Whole table. She's gonna reject him right after dessert. I didn't even flinch. Just straightened my tie in the mirror and hit record on my phone. It was Jessica's birthday. 8 people were already seated when I walked in, her entourage basically. Designer heels, filtered faces, and enough passive-aggressive energy to fry the chandelier. Jessica smiled when she saw me, that smile that used to mean something but now just felt rehearsed. Babe, she purred. You made it. Like I was the last puzzle piece in her little Instagram perfect night. I played along. Pulled out her chair. Laughed at her friend's fake compliment. Let them order drinks that cost more than my weekly groceries. All while knowing what was coming. The worst part? I'd been here before. Not the exact restaurant, not this exact setup, but the dynamic. Jessica loved attention, loved the optics of a guy who could provide. I made good money as a project lead at a design firm. I wasn't throwing gold bars, but I wasn't clipping coupons either. And every dinner, every weekend trip, every new emergency her friends hinted at, that was all me. I used to tell myself it was love. Or at least partnership. But standing there in that restroom, listening to strangers discuss my humiliation like it was part of the entertainment package, something in me snapped. Or maybe, something in me just woke up. I sat through the appetizers like nothing had changed. Toasted her when she raised her glass. Watched her friends drop hints like anvils. Kevin got his girl a weekend in Napa, one said. Wonder what Mason has planned. All eyes turned to me like I was supposed to blush or whip out plane tickets. I smiled. Nothing you can post about, I said. They laughed, awkward, confused, dismissive. When the plates cleared and Jessica tapped her glass to speak, I knew it was coming. Mason has something to say, she said, eyes gleaming. The trap was set. But the bait? It didn't bite. I stood up. Calm. Measured. And said one thing. Actually, yeah? I do. Then I nodded to the waiter. He walked over and dropped separate checks in front of every person at the table. 8 bills. 8 stunned faces. 8 reactions I'll never forget. And Jessica? She was already reaching for damage control before the bills even landed. But it was too late. I reached into my coat pocket, pulled out the small folded note, and set it by her wine glass. The front reads simply, for you. She opened it. Read the line. Froze. Tonight's the last time you used me as a punchline. I didn't wait for applause. Didn't even look back. I just left. And behind me? The sound of chaos. Outside, the night air hit like a reset button. I didn't even head straight to my car. I just walked. Past valet guys who raised their eyebrows. Past a couple arguing about parking validation. Past a line of girls in sequins waiting to get in somewhere else. For the first time in months, maybe longer, I felt clean. My phone buzzed 3 times before I even got to the end of the block. Lisa, 2 missed calls. Jessica, 1 message, we need to talk. I turned it face down in my pocket and kept walking. You might think this was petty. Or cold. But here's what no one at that table knew. I'd been clocking out of that relationship long before tonight. This wasn't revenge. It was an exit. Just quieter than they were expecting. Jessica and I had been together a little over a year. Started casual, drinks, laughs, the usual swipe right chemistry. But things escalated fast. Too fast. She moved into my place, temporarily, when her lease ended. Brought more shoes than suitcases. Her cat peed on my rug. I replaced the rug. Her friend backed into my car. I paid the deductible. She promised she'd pay me back. Never did. At first, I brushed it off. Relationships have rough patches, right? Not everything has to be perfectly split and scored. But over time, I started to notice something. I wasn't dating a person. I was sponsoring a lifestyle. Jessica wasn't evil. She just had this entitlement baked into her DNA. She believed she deserved nice things. And I was nice things, with a credit limit. Every time I said no, about a bag, a weekend trip, a dinner she promised to Venmo later, she pouted like I'd kicked a puppy. But tonight? Tonight was a whole new level. I didn't know what was worse, her planning to publicly reject me, or that she thought I'd still cover the bill afterward like a good little simp. Either way, the spell was broken. When I finally reached my car, I sat in the driver's seat with the engine off and just exhaled. That kind of tired you only get after pretending for too long. My phone buzzed again. Lisa, text WTF was that? Jess is crying. She's humiliated. I typed back one line. Then I guess we're even. Hit send. Blocked her. Simple. What none of them realized, what Jessica never even bothered to ask, was that I wasn't the type to flip out or make a scene. I don't do drama. I do design. I do order. I do calm exits and clear boundaries. And now? Now I was out. But she was just getting started. Because when I got home and checked my email, there were already 3 messages waiting. One from Jessica. One from her best friend's boyfriend, Weird. And one from a restaurant manager asking if I'd left my card behind. I hadn't. But someone had tried to charge another bottle of wine to my tab 10 minutes after I walked out. That's when I realized. They weren't just mad. They were scrambling. I woke up the next morning to 23 missed notifications. 7 texts from Jessica. 4 from numbers I didn't recognize. 1 from my actual bank, flagging a declined attempt for a $280 dessert platter at 10:43 p.m. That was almost an hour after I left the restaurant. I stared at the message like it was in a foreign language. She actually tried to run up my tab after I walked out. Either she thought the waiter was bluffing, or she figured I'd eventually fold and just eat the cost to avoid drama. Wrong. I replied to the bank's fraud team. Then I called the Bluebird and asked to speak directly with the manager, a tired-sounding guy named Leonard who, to his credit, remembered the exact table. "Oh, you were with the birthday party," he said. "Yeah, that was a scene." I explained what had happened. Told him I left before dessert. Told him I didn't authorize any charges past that point. There was a pause. "You don't need to explain," Leonard said finally. "Your girlfriend's friends raised hell after you left." "Said you were footing the bill? We split it when you asked, but after you walked out, they tried to reassign everything back to your card." I was quiet. "Don't worry," he added. "We declined it. One of the servers flagged it. But if she tries again, we'll escalate." I thanked him. Hung up. Sat there in my kitchen staring at my cold coffee like it had answers. What kind of person does that? No, really, what kind of person sees their plan collapse and instead of taking the L, doubles down and tries to stick you with the bill anyway? Jessica texted again right then. "Jess, Mason, please just call me." I was going to say no, but not in a mean way. It was a joke. A dumb one. Joke. That word again. I opened my photo album. Scrolled to the audio file I'd saved. Press play. "He'll confess tonight. I'll say no in front of everyone. He'll still pay for dinner. Freedom at least." Her voice. Clear as day. Laughing. I'd recorded it by accident, didn't even aim the mic right. But there it was. Her entire little scheme spelled out in the worst kind of smug tone. A tone I knew too well. The same one she used when telling her friends how good she had it. With me, as if I was some concierge service with benefits. I forwarded the clip to her. No caption. No context. Just the truth. Read receipt hit in under a minute. 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. No reply. No apology. Just silence. For 10 whole minutes, I sat in that silence. Let it stretch. Let it settle into my ribs. Then my phone rang. Not Jessica. Her mother. I didn't pick up. 5 minutes later, voicemail. "Mason. I just want to say. Jessica's very upset. She made a mistake. A big one. But we all say things we don't mean sometimes. Right. Like I'll say no in front of everyone and make him pay for dinner. She meant that just fine." I blocked her mom. Then I packed a bag, tossed it in my car, and headed north. No plan, no map, just a full tank and a playlist titled Things I Should Have Said Sooner. Somewhere around mile marker 103, Jessica called one last time from a new number. I didn't answer. But I saved the voicemail. Because in it, she said something I knew she'd never admit again. You were never supposed to hear that. But you did. And now I guess you know what I really thought of you. Yeah. Now I knew. And that was exactly the closure I needed. I ended up in a lakeside motel 2 hours from the city. $89 a night, parking included, and the kind of floral comforter that hadn't been updated since the 90s. It smelled like carpet cleaner and nostalgia, but I didn't care. I dropped my bag on the chair, sat on the edge of the bed, and let the quiet chew through the noise still stuck in my head. Funny thing about silence, it tells you exactly what you've been avoiding. The voicemail replayed in my brain. You were never supposed to hear that. Exactly. I was never supposed to hear it. Just like I was never supposed to notice all the little moments where Jessica didn't really see me, just the shape of me, the function of me. The guy who says, "Don't worry, I've got it," at the table. The one who brings flowers after a fight. Who doesn't fight back. Who understands. Who pays. I used to think love meant carrying more than your share because someone else might be tired. Or scared. Or unsure. But now I was starting to understand. Love doesn't ask you to audition. And that's what I'd been doing for over a year. Jumping through hoops. Jessica kept moving. And every time I landed one, she'd call it cute and raise the bar. Around midnight I got a text from her best friend's boyfriend, this guy named Ryan, who I'd always suspected was the only other one in that group who had a real job. "Ryan, for what it's worth, I heard what happened. I'm not with how Jess and Lisa planned it. Just letting you know, you're not crazy. It was real." I stared at the screen for a second. Then replied, "Appreciate it. You good?" He texted back immediately. "Ryan, honestly? I left Lisa. Packed a bag and dipped. Too many red flags, man. You just gave me the excuse." I didn't know whether to laugh or salute him. Instead, I sent one word: respect. It was weird, this sudden moment of solidarity from another guy who'd been orbiting the same glitter-covered black hole. Made me feel like I hadn't been totally blind. Just hopeful. Naive, maybe. But not stupid. The next morning, I woke up early. Showered in the motel's creaky bathroom. Ate a stale muffin from the front desk. And sat by the lake with a notebook I hadn't touched since college. Wrote 3 words at the top of the page: "Now what, Mason?" Because I had no plan. No map. No girlfriend. No audience. Just time. And space. And clarity. Around noon, I got a text from a different number. Local area code. I tapped it open. Unknown. "Hey. This is Julia. We met once at Jess's birthday last year. I was the one who spilled wine on your shirt. Just wanted to say, I heard what happened. And honestly? Good for you." Underneath was a link. Read it. AITA for refusing to pay after my friend tricked her boyfriend into covering her birthday dinner and he walked out. I clicked. There it was. Posted by someone with a throwaway account. Clearly Lisa or someone close. The story was twisted, vague, and obviously trying to rally sympathy. But the comments? They were brutal. Top 1. Girl tried to scam a guy and got mad when he didn't play his part. Boo-hoo. Second one. Play stupid games, get separate checks. Third. OP, tell your friend Jessica she's the main character in someone else's story now. I chuckled. Not because I needed validation, but because, for once, the truth didn't need me to defend it. It was out there now. And Jessica? She was finally finding out what it felt like to be seen. By the time I got back to the city, Jessica had gone full PR mode. She posted a carefully filtered Instagram story the next evening. Photo of her half smiling in a bathrobe, caption: healing. Some people don't deserve your light. Followed by a black screen with white text. You learn a lot when people show their true colors. Silence is protection. Right. Because bailing on a $700 dinner you schemed your way into is self-defense. I didn't reply. Didn't like. Didn't subtweet. I was done playing chess with someone who kept flipping the board. But that didn't stop her from trying. She texted again 2 nights later. New angle. Jessica, I was drunk. It wasn't that deep. I didn't actually plan to humiliate you. Lisa exaggerated everything. I thought you loved me enough to laugh it off. That last line? That was the one. Love me enough to laugh it off. Let me translate. I thought you'd keep being convenient. I thought your dignity was optional as long as I called you babe in public. I didn't answer. Instead, I opened my laptop, clicked through old photos, and deleted the shared folder named us. Birthday dinners. Rooftop bars. Her dog wearing my hoodie. Me holding her waist at someone's engagement party while she looked at the camera instead of me. Gone. And it didn't even hurt. Later that week, I ran into one of her friends, Danielle, at a bookstore downtown. She was alone, holding a copy of The Subtle Art of Not Giving AF****, which felt poetic. She looked up, did a double take, and gave me this half-guilty smile. "Mason," she said. "Wow. You look lighter." "Yeah," I said. "Dropped a few emotional liabilities." She laughed too loud. "There." We chatted a bit. Nothing deep. Then, right as we were saying goodbye, she leaned in and said, "She's really spiraling, you know. Ever since the dinner." I shrugged. "She'll survive. She's trying to rewrite it," Danielle added. "Telling people you planned it, that you were cruel." "Of course she is. But between you and me?" Danielle lowered her voice. "It was the best damn birthday party I've ever been to." And just like that, I walked out of that bookstore with a $14 paperback and a smile I didn't even try to hide. That weekend, my buddy Alex dragged me to a dinner party, just 10 people, all low-key, no pretension. I showed up in jeans. Brought wine. Talked to real humans who didn't measure value in menu prices or Instagram angles. And then I met Grace. She was standing by the snack table arguing, politely, about why The Office peaked in season 5. We got into a mock debate about it. She called me a corporate apologist. I called her a comedy hipster. She laughed with her whole face. It was the first time in months I flirted without a checklist in my head. We ended up talking for over 2 hours, sitting on the stairs, passing a bowl of chips back and forth like we'd been doing it for years. No games. No scripts. Just real. When I offered her a ride home, she didn't bat her lashes or say, "Sure," like it was a test. She said, "Only if you let me DJ." And on the drive back, while she queued up All Pop and hummed along off-key, I realized something. I wasn't broken. Just used. And I was finally done pretending those two were the same. Grace texted me the next morning. Just a photo of a donut and a caption, fueling my Sunday sass. "You." I grinned like a teenager. Not because I thought this was it, or because I'd written wedding vows in my sleep. Just because it was normal. Simple. A person who reached out because she wanted to, not because she wanted something. I replied with a picture of my coffee and a caption, "Recovering from emotional whiplash. But getting there." She sent back, "Glad to hear it. I don't date emotionally concussed men. Keep healing, champ." That's the thing about getting blindsided emotionally. You start mistaking intensity for intimacy. Drama for depth. Jessica had been a lot of things. Exciting, sure. Beautiful? Definitely. But deep? Safe? Honest? Never. In the weeks after the birthday fiasco, her circle started fracturing. Lisa unfollowed her. 2 of the other girls quietly scrubbed the dinner photos from their pages. Jessica tried to spin it. Fake friends reveal themselves when you're glowing. That kind of thing. But you could tell the glow-up narrative was cracking. People had seen her now. And not through filters. Me? I kept my head down. Focused on work. Picked up a few freelance projects. Slept better. Even started running again. And Grace? We kept talking. Nothing heavy. Just back and forth banter that made long days feel short. After a few more meetups, 1 coffee, 1 art exhibit, 1 trivia night where she humiliated me on questions about 2000s pop music, I finally asked her. "So, are we doing this?" She blinked. "Doing what?" "This," I gestured between us. "The official dating thing. Or are we still just 2 people emotionally bonding over chips and passive-aggressively competing in group settings?" She smiled. "If you're asking if I want to go on a real date where you pick the place and try to impress me, then yeah. I'd like that." And I did. I picked a little Korean barbecue spot where you grill your own meat and the staff yells when you don't flip it fast enough. She wore a sweatshirt with a dinosaur on it. I wore the kind of cologne you only use when you're trying not to look like you're trying too hard. Halfway through dinner, she leaned in and said, "You seem lighter now. Like you exhaled something heavy." "Yeah," I said. I stopped letting someone else hold the pen to my story. She nodded, chewed, swallowed, then asked, "And do they know they're no longer the author?" "Pretty sure they do. They just haven't accepted the book's over." Which, to be fair, was true. Jessica hadn't texted in a while, but she had posted a new caption under a selfie. Some people only date to feel worshipped. I date to be celebrated. Don't confuse the two. Grace saw it and said, "Wow. Is that about you?" I didn't answer. I didn't have to. Because I'd spent so long trying to prove my worth to someone who couldn't see past their own reflection. And now? Now I was finally sitting across from someone who looked at me, not my wallet, not my potential, not the cloud of being seen with me, but me. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like a supporting character in someone else's story. I felt like the lead. A few weeks later, I bumped into Jessica at a bookstore of all places, aisle 4, self-help section. She looked up, startled, like she'd seen a ghost in a hoodie. No makeup, no entourage, just her and a paperback titled Emotional Intelligence for Difficult Relationships. We stood there for a second in awkward silence before she said, "Mason, hi." I nodded. "Hey." She gave a tired smile. "You look good. You look like you're trying." She laughed quietly. "There." There was a beat where she almost said more. I could feel it. The apology, the rationalizing, the maybe we could talk moment. But I wasn't there for that. I smiled politely. "Take care of yourself, Jess." And walked away. Not angry. Not cold. Just done. Because closure isn't always a grand speech or a dramatic ending. Sometimes it's just choosing not to reopen the chapter when you see the cover again. 2 months later, Grace and I were slow dancing in her living room to a playlist called Vibes and Leftovers. It was raining outside, and we just demolished Chinese takeout on her coffee table. No anniversaries. No special occasion. Just Tuesday. She leaned her head against my chest and said, "You still think about her?" "Not really," I said. "She was a lesson. You're the piece after the test." Grace didn't say anything right away, just swayed with me, her fingers laced through mine. That was the difference. Jessica would have needed reassurance, attention, proof. Grace just trusted it. We didn't take selfies. We didn't tell the world we were happy. We just were. And honestly, that was better than any revenge, any viral post, any mic drop exit. This was the win. Not walking out of a restaurant with pride, but walking into a life where I didn't have to audition for respect. A friend sent me a link one morning, a thread on a gossip forum titled, "That Bluebird birthday blow up, what really happened?" It had photos, speculation, and enough drama to rival a reality show. The comments tore Jessica apart. Some defended her, most didn't. I didn't comment. Didn't even finish reading. Because while the internet dissected my past, I was busy building a future. Grace and I adopted a scrappy little mutt named Felix who chewed through 2 of my socks and all of her throw pillows in a week. We laughed more than we argued. We split the check without blinking. And when things got hard, which they did, we talked, not weaponized silence. I got promoted. She launched her own design shop. Nothing flashy, just steady growth. No performance, no plot twists. Just 2 people choosing each other every day. Meanwhile, Jessica's world kept spinning, loud, curated, brittle. Mine was finally quiet. And real. 6 months later, I found that old folded note I'd left on Jessica's plate. I'd scribbled a copy before I walked out of Bluebird, just in case I ever doubted what happened. "Tonight's the last time you used me as a punchline." I read it again. It didn't sting. It didn't even ache. It felt like a line from someone else's story, one I'd finally stopped starring in. That night, Grace and I sat on the balcony of our new apartment, legs tangled, our dog snoring against my foot. She was sipping cheap wine out of a mug with the words "World's Okayest Girlfriend" printed on it, a thrift store joke that somehow became our favorite thing. The city hummed below us. Distant sirens. A couple laughing across the street. The kind of noise that feels like life, not chaos. Grace turned to me and said, "You ever think about what would have happened if you'd stayed?" I didn't even need to pause. Yeah. I'd still be apologizing for things I didn't do. Paying for people who never said thank you. And thinking love was something you had to earn. She nodded, quiet for a second. "I'm glad you didn't." "Me too." We clinked our mugs, hers wine, mine tea, and sat in the quiet. I'd spent so long trying to be the kind of man women brag about, generous, reliable, the one who goes above and beyond. But now I realized, I didn't need to be impressive. I just needed to be respected. Grace never expected grand gestures. She expected honesty, kindness, presence. And she gave it back without keeping score. That's the kind of love that doesn't drain you. It builds you. Weeks later, I walked past Bluebird for the first time since that night. It had a new awning, new name, same overpriced parking. Inside, a couple sat by the window, laughing, holding hands across a candlelit table. And for a second, I remembered what it was like to believe that was the goal: glamour, spectacle, applause. It's not. Love isn't what the world claps for. It's what stays after the lights go out. After the bills come. After the music fades. Love is someone throwing their legs over yours on a Tuesday night and saying, "Let's stay in." It's splitting dessert and the check. It's not asking, "What do you bring to the table?" Because you're already building it together. Jessica taught me what love isn't. Grace reminded me what it is. And me? I'm not a punchline anymore. I'm the author now. And this chapter? It's finally good.